Good. Welcome to Advanced Manufacturing Live. I'm SME Media Associate Editor Cary Gitter.
And I'm SME Senior Editor Michael McConnell. We're going to take a look at what's making news in the manufacturing industry as we turn our sights and calendars to 2026. There's been a lot of interesting news in the manufacturing space lately.
Yes, Mike, there really has. It's been a very eventful few weeks.
And in fact, Cary, you recently reported on something from the Institute for Supply Management on the state of the economy.
Yeah, so this comes as good news because for the last 9 months, actually, the ISM, Institute for Supply Management, manufacturing PMI reports have shown a contraction in the sector, driven by upheaval in trade policies and tariffs, of course, and all that volatility and higher prices for materials has really affected small and mid-sized manufacturers. But yes, just within the last week, ISM released its December 2025 ISM supply chain planning forecast, which showed some good news that manufacturing expectations for 2026 are positive, with over half of survey respondents expecting revenues to be greater in 2026 than they were in 2025, including increases in overall revenue and in employment, capital expenditures, and 16 out of 18 manufacturing sectors surveyed expect that revenue improvement in 2026. And food and beverage and fabricated metal products were leading the charge there with some of the highest increases. And Susan Spence is the chair of the ISM Manufacturing Business Survey Committee, who puts out these reports on a monthly basis. And she said that executives are optimistic about overall business prospects for the first half of 26, and even more excited about faster growth in the second half. And some reasons for that have been posited. Matthew Martin is a senior economist at Oxford Economics, and he mentioned a fiscal boost from the so-called One Big Beautiful Bill Act, interest rate relief, and some fading economic uncertainty, providing a needed boost for the industry next year. So, yeah, I mean, to going into the new year, that's a pretty good outlook, especially after the contraction that we've been seeing.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that they're most executives are expecting some good expansion, good news, considering how negative or at least cautious people were in 2025.
Yes, absolutely, and that includes also another report that was just published by AMT, the Association for Manufacturing Technology, which puts out a monthly U.S. manufacturing technology orders report, and that also showed orders for metalworking machinery at over $500 million in October, which is a 40% increase from last October, year over year, and that includes orders from contract machine shops being at their highest in a couple of years, with more demand for automation. Aerospace manufacturers had their highest order value since March of this year. There's new Pentagon contract announcements that are fueling that, as well as the end of the Boeing workers' strike, which we've both covered recently, and also data centers. The proliferation of data centers are fueling a demand for a power transmission manufacturing as well. So more good news there. And I know, Mike, you also recently saw a report on positive news for the industry. Am I correct?
Yeah, I did. It was one of the more interesting stories I've come across. This one was in Industry Week, and its editors cited an analysis from the Manufacturers Alliance and Oxford Economics that said that, contrary to what many people think, the manufacturing industry is really growing again. Aerospace, pharmaceuticals, agricultural products, they're all in expansion mode right now. So that's really good news. And then looking forward, they think the first quarter of 2026 we'll see a decline in manufacturing machinery demand, but semiconductors and pharmaceuticals are going to keep on being strong, which is pretty impressive to me. And Cary, you had an interesting piece about the use of artificial intelligence in manufacturing the next year. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so obviously in the industry we're hearing so much about AI and how AI is transforming all industries really, but manufacturing in particular. And Tata Consultancy Services and Amazon Web Services just put out a study called the Future Ready Manufacturing Study. They surveyed over 200 leaders across manufacturing sectors in Europe and North America, and they showed in their results that artificial intelligence is really going to continue to increase its impact on manufacturing operations and autonomous processes, with 3/4 of manufacturers expecting AI to be the top 3 margin driver for 2026. However, the caveat there is that there are findings showing that there is still readiness and capabilities gaps in terms of these businesses and where their technology is at today and how prepared they are to actually leverage this AI successfully and efficiently within their operations. So I had mentioned 3/4 of manufacturers expecting AI to be a margin driver. However, only 21% say they're fully AI ready. So there's definitely data integration challenges there. Another piece of information from that study was agentic AI, which is AI that can make decisions and perform tasks on its own without human intervention. That's also emerging as a priority capability, particularly in light of the workforce shortage and the fact that a lot of manufacturers, have been struggling to fill positions and fill their factories and their plants, and so agentic AI could present a solution to that with autonomous decision making. But yeah, so what do you make of that, Mike? That gap between sort of the capability or the potential and the readiness?
Well, I think there's a disconnect there among some of those survey responses, because on one hand, they think AI is going to drive their margins next year, but then they're like, we're not fully ready. So if you're not fully ready, how can it drive the margins?
Yeah.
I think they got to be all in, or they got to be ready for it if they expect it to really drive that. And the other thing you mentioned, I think, was 74% expect AI to handle up to half of the routine production decisions by 2028, only like 2 years away. That's amazing to me.
Yeah, that's a pretty rapid transformation, which I think we're only seeing the beginning stages of right now. And they also expect improved real-time supply chain visibility from AI, meaningful productivity gains from AI-led modernization. So there's all these projected benefits, and yet still this unease about how ready they really are for adoption.
Yeah, what was it? They said the study said like only 30% said they really expect major productivity gains with thanks
Yeah,
to the
which is
modernization.
interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's you'd think that number would be higher based
yeah,
on the other numbers, but yeah, I guess it's a kind of a mix of excitement and uncertainty, about what this technology can really do and whether it's going to be a bubble or yeah.
I can certainly relate to that, because I mean, I don't know where things are going to head. It is crazy depending what day it is, what day you read, what you read.
Yeah.
But there was something else that I thought was interesting. Our editor-in-chief, Steve Plum, had recently reported on where manufacturing might be going in 2026. And he listed 5 technical advances to watch. And this ties in well because, hint, these are all related to artificial intelligence. They included AI-driven hyper-automation, digital twins as autonomous decision agents, AI enhancements to the supply chain. That sounds pretty interesting. AI augmenting engineers and operators, and even AI helping to minimize energy use and other sustainability initiatives. I think that's really amazing. I'd be curious to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, and digital twins have really been gaining a ton of leverage as a tool for manufacturers to see their whole manufacturing life cycle represented digitally from beginning to end, and implement changes before doing so in the real world. And for those of you who wanted to kind of take a deeper dive into the history of digital twins, I just wanted to mention that our editor-in-chief, Steve Plum, has a great article in our most recent magazine issue, Manufacturing, Engineering, and Technology magazine, our January issue, about the father of digital twins, as he's known, Dr. Michael Greaves, who kind of introduced the concept over 20 years ago out on a limb, and now it's become ubiquitous and a major factor in how manufacturers look at the technology within their operations. So definitely check that out if you want to deep dive into the digital twin concept.
Yeah, it's amazing that a couple decades after we first proposed this, here we are. Future's here. It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, you really see those kinds of transformations in manufacturing. An idea comes into the ether, and then suddenly, before you know it, it's everywhere.
Yeah, that's just the way it works. And it's like you don't even realize it's coming up on you, and then here it is. I feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Cary, you something else I wanted to ask you about. You had done a fun story recently that really seems to tie in well for the holiday season, and it involves Legos and 3D printing.
Yes, this is actually not as awkward a segue as one might think, because we were just talking about how things can gain traction so quickly, and AM is one way in which that's happened. I mean, this is a 4-decade-old roughly technology that is now so sophisticated, and what you see there on your screen is the first 3D printed Lego piece, which is now part of the Icons Holiday Express train set that Lego has just released for this Christmas. And this was developed by the additive design and technology and manufacturing team in Denmark, which Lego has. And they spent 9 years developing a sophisticated 3D printing system that could produce high quality elements like this, but on a mass scale, because Legos have traditionally been injection molded. That's been the primary production technique. But the director of the additive team there, Ronan Hadar, he explained that additive manufacturing can allow Lego to create geometries that wouldn't be possible. For instance, pieces with internal mechanisms. So this Lego piece you see here, it has a puffing chimney and spinning wheels. And apparently, Lego's already doubled its 3D printer's output rate there in Denmark, and it wants to really make 3D printed parts not just a novelty, but a standard method for designers that have the same quality as injection molded bricks. And actually, this goes to the larger question of AM, which is it can do these amazing things, but can it do them at scale? And that's what Lego's grappling with here too.
I'm going to be curious to see how that shakes out. It still amazes me that Legos was known for plastic, as you mentioned, forever, and I think back in the day, wooden blocks, and now we're talking about additive manufacturing toys, and that the fact we're talking about toys and additive manufacturing together is pretty crazy. I never really thought those two would go together, at least not right now.
Yeah, and the director of the program there, Ronan Hadar, he's actually going to be speaking at the 2026 Additive Manufacturing Users Group Conference, March 15th through 19th in Reno, Nevada. And his presentation is Additive Manufacturing at Scale in Consumer Goods, the case of the Lego Group. So perhaps the industry can learn something from what a toy manufacturer has done with this technology.
Wow. You're mentioning that you're going to be speaking in Reno, Nevada. We have something else going on in Las Vegas coming up, don't we?
Yes, this is very exciting. We want to make sure to mention this for our audience. SME is thrilled to be bringing about the inaugural Advanced Manufacturing Showcase at CES, the world's largest consumer electronics show. That's going to be at the Las Vegas Convention Center, January 6th through 9th. We've got a dozen co-exhibitors, over a dozen speakers lined up, and you can visit us there at the Las Vegas Convention Center's Central Hall, booth number 15425. To meet innovators, get the latest on manufacturing technology and its intersection with the consumer electronics world. And to register, you can do that right now. It's ces.tech is the URL. And so this is a brand new thing for SME, and we're very excited to be part of that global show in January.
Sounds super exciting.
Yes, very, very much so. It's a big deal for us, and should be a big deal for CES as well.
Well, that about wraps up our episode. So I want to thank you all for watching. And I'm SME Senior Editor Michael McConnell.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. I am Associate Editor Cary Gitter, and thank you for watching the first episode of Advanced Manufacturing Live.